Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a basic web page. As you can see from this example, it's just going to be simple text with a heading, a subheading, a little bit of content, including a list. Before I can even do that, though, I need to show you how to set up the editor that we'll be using. So the editor we'll be using is called Repl, R-E-P-L, and they originally were repl.it, so you can type that in, but I think it'll redirect you, and you might want to start getting used to using replit.com, which is where it redirected me to. They changed the name of the site, so maybe use replit.com from now on. Ignore the fact that my browser had the old address entered in there when I typed it. It was just kind of autocomplete. But replit.com is the current version. So you're going to need to create an account, which really just will involve logging in with your school Gmail. That should work seamlessly. So I'm not going to be able to show you how to do that now because I have an account. But once you're in your account, you really should just be able to choose login with Google. You'll have this home page, and from this home page, you can create your first new project. So just click where it says New REPL. Just click that. And then choose HTML, CSS, JS as your language, because that's what we'll be using for today, just HTML. I'm just going to call this Web A1 for Web Activity 1. And you're going to see when it opens, there will be a bunch of random stuff on the screen. Well, it's not random, but there will be a bunch of stuff that doesn't make much sense. It's all there for a reason. Let me just explain a little bit about what's here, and for now, you don't need to give too much concern to it. So this doc type, it's just a tag to indicate what type of document it is. This, again, like the HTML thing here, just says this is an HTML. So twice, really, it says this is an HTML file. And then all the stuff inside the head here just is information for the browser. So like what characters is it using? It's looking up the size of the screen that it's on. This title tag just says what title is going to be on the tab. So when you actually display the web page, what the tab is going to say. And links CSS, which is something we'll be concerned with later. But for now, if you find this stuff distracting, for now you can get rid of it. It's not a big deal. Like you should keep it in the future, but if you're finding that distracting and the page is cluttered, it's okay to get rid of that for now, as well as this script tag, which links JavaScript. So now you have a much simpler view. In the future, you're going to want to keep all that extra stuff. That is sort of good practice when creating an HTML file, to include all of that information, because it is valuable to the browser and helps it render the screen correctly. However, again, we're just doing the absolute basics. And as far as the absolute basics go, I've already been using some terminology that you might not actually really understand what I'm talking about. So I've been calling these things tags, these things with angle brackets around them. And a tag is really essentially what HTML is made up of. Everything in HTML is just content marked by tags. So, for example, I'm going to show you your first tag that you can use. That is a heading tag. I'm going to say H1. I'm going to put the H1 in between a left angle bracket and a right angle bracket. Those are the little arrow things that are kind of next to the letter M and the question mark on your keyboard. And then I'm going to type some kind of heading. So, classic video games. And then I'm going to close my H1 tag by doing /H1. And the type of slash does matter. This has to be a /, the kind of slash that is like in the same key as the question mark, not the other slash, not a backslash. So what this tag is it's the content, the words classic video games, and then this markup, this H1 at the beginning and closing H1 at the end. That indicates this is the beginning of the H1, this is the end of the H1, and H1 is just your largest heading. So if I run this, you'll see it's kind of somewhat large text. And this is just the default size, because we're not telling it how big to be, really. We are just marking up the content right now. And the browser has a default way that it interprets that, and in that case, it's that size. So there it is. It's your biggest heading. Other H tags have other sizes. So I could say H2. 1980s and 1990s. So an H2 is going to be smaller than an H1. If I wanted it to be even smaller, I could make it an H3. And again, we're just talking about the default sizes, and it scales down from 1 all the way down to 6. So you have headings of different sizes, and as you can see from what I just did, the web browser has a way that it interprets these tags to mean something. It's displaying the H1 and the H3 differently just based on the tag you put around it. So let's try another tag. In this case, we'll just do regular paragraph content. So I'll put it in a P tag. That's for paragraph. That's just sort of your basic text content. So I'll just add some content about classic video games. Let's say the 80s and 90s marked the beginning of popular home gaming consoles. A few examples of popular systems include, and I'm going to close my paragraph tag. Right? And if I run this, you'll see, by the way, anytime you want to, the way this is set up, anytime you want to reload your page, you just click the run button up here, this sort of play button, and it will reload your page. You can also click this refresh button. Another thing you can do is you can actually have your page opened in another tab, full screen, which will matter later when we have more complex pages and you want to see what it looks like full screen. So just that's also available, is this open in a new tab option. So I've got my heading, my subheading, and I've got a little bit of text content. I'm going to just add a colon here to indicate, hey, there's a list coming. I'm going to list a few gaming consoles, and then I will add a UL tag. That's an unordered list. And then I'll add a list item. And notice I'm using li tags for my individual list items and closing my li tag at the end of each list item. I haven't closed my ul tag yet. That's going to go at the end of the list. so I've got a list of items. I'll close my UL tag, and you can see it's added a bulleted list to my web page. So you can see the browser is also interpreting this content differently based on the tags, because these items are inside of the UL. It recognizes them as a list, and the way it presents them is every individual list item, every LI has a bullet point in front of it. That's the default. That's the default way that a browser displays list items. And so that's where I'm going to stop for now. Just a basic introduction to how HTML works, which is your content. That's just the stuff that's actually going to be visible on the page, is marked up using tags. A tag consists of an opening tag, an element, an HTML element consists of an opening tag and a closing tag with content in between the tags. Right? You can have HTML elements that contain other HTML elements. For example, this UL tag doesn't end until all the way down here, and there are other HTML elements, like all of these LI tags, inside of it. So just a few of the basics of HTML. Next time we'll move on to other tags, but hopefully this gets you off to a good start.